In the last video, we created some basic shapes to help us get started with our desk model. In this video, we're going to learn to use edit mode to add some more interesting details to those shapes. Before entering edit mode, we're going to select the object we want to edit first, and I'm going to start out with my desk down here. So now that I've got that selected, I'm going to click this little menu in the top left and switch to edit mode. Now, edit mode in some ways is very similar to object mode. We've got these options on the left side, including things like move, but there's something very special about edit mode. We can manipulate particular vertices, edges, or faces. So for example, I can select just this corner of the desk and move it upwards. I'm going to use Command Z to undo that. We can also select an edge and maybe give our desk a little kind of indent or different shape. I'm going to undo that as well. It's just an example. And we can also select a particular face. And we can do more than just move them. We can do those same operations. So if I hit R, I'm able to rotate it and give an interesting shape to my desk. Now, I'm going to keep my desk pretty simple in its overall shape, but one thing that I know that we're going to have to add in are legs. Now, you've got a problem here. I can select the whole face, but how do I subdivide it to just bring out the little corners? Well, that's easy enough. You can right-click and hit subdivide, and these could be your legs, but actually I'm going to need a few more edges to get it done. That looks pretty good to me. Now I'm going to switch to the edge select mode, and I'm going to grab those edges together and bring them over to the sides. That looks pretty good for a leg. We're going to do the same with this side and over here as well. And one more. There you go. So now we've got 4 spots for our table legs. Now you'll notice we've got all these extra options here. So insert faces, extrude. I end up using extrude a lot. It's really helpful. And well, let's check out what it does. By extruding, we're actually going to add faces along each of the edges. And so if I hit the extrude menu option and I grab in here and I pull, well, you can kind of see what happens. Now I want these to be straight up and down, so I'm going to hit the Z key, and as you can see, that restricts the rotation of the legs, and well, now we're starting to look like a desk, aren't we? Great. That's pretty much all we have to do to get the basic shape for our desk. Why don't we try editing some of these other shapes and see if we could make them a little more realistic. So we've got our pencil here, and looks a little large, so I'm actually going to do some edits in object mode first. Just reduce its scale, maybe make it a little bit longer. That seems a little too long. Okay, there you go. That's the pencil that we'll work with. And now what I want to do is I'm going to add a point to our pencil, and I'm also going to, you can do this one by right-clicking as well. I'm going to shade it smooth so you can no longer see the little edges when we're in object mode. So I'm going to go back to edit mode here, and now we are going to add a point to our pencil. So to do that, I'm going to grab this face on the end. Again, I'm going to extrude it and pull it outwards a little bit. And then, actually there might be a better option. Let me check through my options here. I think Bevel may be the best one to use in this case. So let's try doing that, and that's got a hotkey of B. And oh. Okay, that seems like a little bit much of a bevel, but we'll go like that, and then I should be able to grab this end and scale it downwards. That looks quite a bit like a pencil to me. Great. Okay, and well, the paper we don't have to do much for, but the mug, this one's kind of interesting, so why don't we see if we can make our mug a little bit more realistic. I'm going to just change it to shade smooth as well, and I'm going to go back now to our edit mode, And what I'm going to do is I'm going to start off by trying to add a lip, and we're going to use extrude for this as well. And what I'm going to do for my extrusion is I'm going to bring it in here a little bit, make a lip for the mug, and then I'm going to extrude it again downwards. And well, that looks a lot like a mug now, or at least a lot closer. The other thing that we could do, which is a little bit harder, is going to be add a handle to it. And so just like we inserted faces on the desk, we're going to have to insert some faces here. And I'm going to pick a new way of doing this, which is a knife. And so using the knife tool, we can click and create some new edges on an object. So there's some new edges, and there's some new edges. And that looks about perfect to me for making our handle. And then from there, we're going to go back to the extrude tool. And well, this is a little bit trickier because we want to make a curve here as well. I'm going to do some rotating and panning to make this a little easier. So we're going to do more extrusions, and what we're going to do is we're going to use extrusion combined with rotate to make this happen. And we're going to, let's see, X, Y, Z. How am I rotating this? There you go, there's Y. Well, that looks a little weird to me, but it seems like it's going in the right direction. Maybe I'll scale it downwards a little bit. Yep, these complicated objects are definitely a little harder. So again, I'm using E to extrude, and then S to scale, or R to rotate. That looks pretty good. We're going to extrude another one and rotate it again, and then I'm hitting Y to restrict the rotation just to the one axis here. So again, rotate and Y, and that actually, boy, that's looking pretty decent to me. And we could join those faces, but for this little object that may not be so necessary. So there's our coffee mug. Let's look at it in object mode and see how it looks with smooth edges. So it's a little bit ugly up close. We could probably refine it or try it again, but for a quick attempt, that looks pretty good to me. Well, we'll go on to our next video where we'll add some texture and then finally look at rendering this into an image.